Hello guys and welcome to another video on the channel. The topic I want to talk about today is whether Battlefield needs a Battle Royale mode. There's been a lot of debate over this on the internet. There's been a great video done by a YouTuber that I can't remember the name of now, but he did a video on big streamers don't understand Battlefield, and he gets some really good points in that. I think it's the Kindred, I think that's his name. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, mate. I will put a link in the description. But he goes through a lot of the points that some of the big streamers made, and I wholeheartedly agree with everything he says. I think it's really cool. I think it's a great video, and props to him for making it. And definitely drop him a sub. I've watched some more of his videos since, and he's a really good content creator. But what I would like to discuss is, I guess, my thoughts on whether Battlefield needs a Battle Royale mode. And I'm going to do this by starting off by saying why it doesn't need a Battle Royale mode and my concerns of if Battlefield does get a Battle Royale mode, and then we'll go into why I think potentially it may need one. And then I'm going to open up to the comments. So if you do enjoy this video, drop a like. If you dislike it, drop it a dislike. If you want to see more content, drop a sub. And hopefully you do drop a comment and get in on this debate of whether Battlefield does need a BR mode or not. So let's start with why I don't think it doesn't and the concerns I have if it does. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Battlefield 6 is having a BR mode. Very much confirmed at the reveal event with that kind of 30-second clip, even if it was 30 seconds, of the firestorm coming in and all of those different vehicles, etc., kind of going away. Yeah, you see the firestorm in the background. So for me, there is a Battle Royale mode coming. So let's talk about that. As we know at the moment, it seems that Ripple Effect, the entire studio, has been working on the Battle Royale mode in kind of its own silo away from both the single player and the multiplayer. So the Battle Royale mode has had some dedicated time. Why I think it shouldn't have a Battle Royale, the concern I had when it was being discussed was if the same team that was working on the multiplayer was working also on the Battle Royale, I wouldn't particularly want all the dev time to go into a Battle Royale mode over the actual multiplayer experience. However, my kind of concerns with that were quelled when Ripple Effect were kind of announcing that they had worked on it solely. I know that Criterion previously worked on the Battle Royale mode for Firestorm in Battlefield 5, and there is a good point to talk about Firestorm, which I'll get onto next, because I feel like the first thing that I was worried about is it would take time away from the main sort of component of Battlefield, that all-out war, large scale, and I think also playing the beta has definitely kind of quelled my concerns with that. I think they've really hit home. I know if you look at some of my other videos about whether the Battlefield beta was bad, it was very much like the online discourse with the map sizes, etc., and they've come out and they've gave more communication. I think it's the most communicative a dev team has been about a Battlefield game in a very, very long time. So to get onto the first point, my worry was it would take away time from the main game development, and they seem to have solved that by giving Ripple Effect a kind of a silo to work on this. So my second point is Firestorm. So Firestorm, for those that didn't play it, was a very bare kind of basic BR mode that they'd kind of thrown in with Battlefield 5. Now the argument I see people say is that Battlefield 5 BR didn't kick off at the time, and that shows why Battlefield doesn't need a BR. What I would argue against that is at the time that Firestorm released, and again this is a while back because I did play Firestorm a little bit, and I actually really enjoyed the mode, bar a few glaring issues which are still present today if you can get a game. Like the looting system was really poor, very basic. The armor system was interesting, but there was some really great Battlefield moments in that, and I've got a few clips from back a day of playing the Battle Royale, which, you know, I still look back on now and think fondly of those times doing duos. But when you see at the time the market for Battle Royale was very heavy on Fortnite. Fortnite was in its massive peak. You had Warzone, which was free to play. Obviously Fortnite's free to play, and there were a few smatterings of other BR modes out there that people have played. You know, you still have the people playing PUBG, and you know, you get all that. Whereas Battlefield Firestorm was behind the, I believe, full price Battlefield 5 game, which again, when Battlefield 5 was announced, controversy with, you know, women being in World War II and there being prosthetics and all this sort of stuff, that the online discourse kind of happened, and ultimately Battlefield 5 didn't really have a successful time. Even though I enjoyed my time on it, it definitely isn't my favorite Battlefield, but I had a lot of good memories of that game. However, was the Battlefield Battle Royale mode really that much of a disaster? I would probably have to say yes. The main contributing factor to that, though, would be the fact it was behind behind this big paywall. And then the other negative effect is they kind of dropped it, and then they did maybe one patch where they did very basic balance changes, I believe. I can't remember what exactly they changed. It's a good few years ago now, but that was pretty much it. There wasn't much of a live program with that battle royale, and that's maybe because maybe it was a testing ground, maybe it was something to get the Criterion team using the Frostbite engine, developing content for Battlefield, and now they've gone on to, you know, the Battlefield Studios, where Criterion have helped out with the main online multiplayer modes by the looks of things. So maybe that was the whole experiment, just to get that team up and running, and like we said, that game that mode kind of got dropped immediately. So I do take a bit of a negative with people saying that the Battlefield Battle Royale mode failed last time. I mean, it did, like, I can't argue that point. But I think there's some circumstances that people aren't considering that may have been forgotten in time, or maybe people aren't referencing the fact it was behind a like £70 paywall, and people were playing Warzone and Fortnite and PUBG. Obviously PUBG is a little bit cheaper, but, you know, a couple of those games are free to play. And, you know, once you've invested in that, then, you know, potentially that's where you're going to stick, you know, your time into. Now, I guess another negative I had with Battle Royale is we obviously have, I guess, the two prime examples in kind of my kind of YouTube algorithm is Fortnite and Call of Duty, and how the Battle Royale mode has generated so much money for those companies that the investment then goes back into the Battle Royale mode. And obviously the well-documented skins with Call of Duty going away from kind of the modern military, having all sorts of celebrities in there and random collabs with TV shows, etc., really taken away from the aesthetic of the game. And then you obviously have Fortnite, which, you know, I think they have the ability to do whatever they want with skins and stuff, and it kind of still fits any kind of narrative. If the Battle Royale, because I imagine they will want to, if it is a free-to-play game, they will want to market that and get as much in microtransactions out of it as possible. And I guess that comes down to the worry that we will all have as a community of where do we go? Where do we go with cosmetics? What are they going to make with the microtransactions? At what point do they go, cool, now we're going to have the collab with Ninja Mutant Turtles or whatever it is? Or it even just gives us the option to not see player skins. That could be a huge win for the franchise. The fact that if they do bring in those skins that will break immersion, I think people will have a negative reaction. Again, I think with the announcement of Battlefield 6 and how well it's done, I think Call of Duty are now kind of checking over their shoulders and kind of going, okay, we need to fix up a little bit. So that's going to be great for the Call of Duty community and FPS gaming as a whole. So we can kind of see what they're going to do with probably after Black Ops 7 now, because obviously Black Ops 7 was well in development before Battlefield 6 was announced. So we'll see what they kind of counteract in the next couple of games. I feel like I've covered my main points here, for the negatives being time away from development of the main game, the failure of Battlefield Firestorm and the narrative around that. I feel like we can have a successful Battlefield Battle Royale being free to play and not having all the cosmetic skins, which was one of my points. However, Battlefield are going to have to monetize this, so it'll be really interesting to see how they do that, because I guess everyone does like skins and they do want to see some sort of customization in there. I guess it's making sure that they are grounded, and the team seem to have a real drive to make sure that they are like that. But let's talk about why Battlefield could need a Battle Royale mode. We've just had the most successful beta of Battlefield's history. Got an insane amount of players in there. I heard a rumor it was 20 million players, which is absolutely insane. But I don't think Battlefield's ever had anywhere near that number of players before. It'd be really interesting to know kind of what their top one was. I'm pretty sure I could find that. I'm pretty sure Battlefield 1 would probably be up there. My initial thoughts on the Battle Royale mode was, so let's say the Battlefield 6 beta came out and it was an okay Battlefield. It didn't do as successfully as it did. But then they also released this free-to-play Battle Royale mode. It is very much a gateway for people who have never played Battlefield before, who do enjoy Battle Royales, the ability to try something out for free and see if they like it. And obviously, I imagine that when you level up guns in the Battle Royale, it will also affect multiplayer and vice versa, similar to what COD do. So that was my initial thought of why Battlefield needed a Battle Royale. It's always been a game that has done extremely well, considering that Call of Duty does so much better than it normally every year. And if we could have a pathway for people to try Battlefield without having to splash out the full game price, and whether that's even a limited time on Game Pass or the PlayStation equivalent, PS Plus, maybe that's a way to counteract it as well. But that was my initial thought with why Battlefield could use a Battle Royale mode, just to give people the chance to jump in and try what the game is actually all about, all the vehicles, all that kind of stuff. That's my first point I wanted to cover. The second point I wanted to cover is, again, in kind of a polar opposite opinion to probably majority of people online, where we are seeing this narrative from big streamers saying how it needs a BR mode and telling them they're wrong. And there's a part of me that agrees. I do agree that there is a space for the BR. Content creators mainly want to have Battlefield to have a Battle Royale mode because, and I'm pretty sure someone like Tin and Tapman hope he doesn't mind me saying this, he has gone on stream and said that he doesn't know how to make content for a Battlefield game, just jumping into online games, playing Conquest or Rush or Breakthrough. But he knows how to make content for a Battle Royale game. So with that thought process, I understand why, as a content creator who has been making Battle Royale content every single day, at least, at least part-time for Tim, he has I guess a formula that works for him and makes him a lot of money, and the same with all the rest of the guys that I've been talking about the BR mode. And they know how to generate content, they know how to do that sort of stuff, so they can keep their livelihood going with the most recent game, and probably the game they want to play the most at the moment, because it's getting numbers. So I understand from their point of view. Now, from the greater community side, having Tim kind of always saying they need the BR mode, playing the BR mode constantly keeps Battlefield 6 in the eyes of a wider community, players who maybe only play Warzone or have come from Overwatch, but it keeps the game in front of those people. Now, the alternative angle, which is definitely the argument, is if the game is much better than Warzone and Black Ops 7, etc., then why wouldn't it be in front of people's eyes anyway? The pessimistic side of being a Battlefield fan is you're just waiting for EA to really just mess this up, and we're just waiting for that moment to happen. But if they don't, then yeah, maybe the case is that the game will be seen by these people anyway, and they already will buying the game and playing it, and we don't potentially need those streamers. However, I think we're in a world now where social media, streaming, and YouTube is such a big thing that having content creators of that size playing your game, and again, that's why the Battlefield Reveal event had a lot of Call of Duty streamers. And if you're watching Battlefield, you probably are going to buy Battlefield 6. It's the Battlefield we've all been waiting for. But if you're a Call of Duty fan and you've never played a Battlefield game, or you've played maybe Battlefield 1 for a little bit, what's an incentive for you to come in? If your favorite streamer's playing, that's your incentive to get them in. So there is an element to that where I think from a marketing point of view, that is the strongest point for the BR to come in as well, to get these streamers behind it, to kind of push that content to a community that potentially wouldn't give Battlefield a go. And then the other thing is, for me, it gets to a point, every Battlefield, I guess this is a jaded Battlefield fan's opinion as well. We've had, 2042, Battlefield 5, and Battlefield 1, which wasn't really, I loved the atmosphere of 1, but it didn't really hit a chord for me. The gameplay didn't hit as much as I'd like it to. Whereas Battlefield 5, the gameplay hit me a little bit more, but then the atmosphere didn't. So that's quite an interesting one, a little bit of a topsy-turvy. And then 2042 has the portal mode basically kept me going on 2042 as much as anything else. The point I was getting to was every release we've had has had issues at the start, whether it be Battlefield 2042 needing to redesign all the maps to make it actually feel like a worn-torn environment, gameplay not feeling great, sliding, all this kind of mechanics that they're doing now. Battlefield seems to be doing a way better job at that already for 6, but there is that moment for me where I was thinking, for 2042 I had Portal to jump back onto and play Portal and play the old maps, and that kept me on the game. If the main game wasn't really hitting for me and I had a Battle Royale mode to jump into, then that's another way of playing my favourite franchise, Battlefield. So that was another element I was thinking, that it's just another mode for me to play as and when. And if I don't play it, then that I've paid the price for the game. I can play whatever I want, and if you don't want to play it, don't play it. I wouldn't want to see like a online boycott of the mode. Ripple effect of probably spent a lot of money and a lot of hours of people's lives making this mode, and I'm really interested to see what they do. I hope there are some elements from Firestorm that they've taken, but I am interested to see what they do with the Battle Royale mode. And if you're interested to see what they do with the Battle Royale mode, please let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on the Battle Royale mode and where you want to see Battlefield go. Is there anything particularly that you would like to see them do or not do? So guys, thank you again. Hopefully see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this, please drop a like. If you've disliked it, drop a dislike. Drop any comments to get the conversation going. See you in the next one.